It's still pretty early in 2025, but I'll say it right now, this is one of the best new cars you can buy for around $30,000. This is the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid, and it returns after a 10-year hiatus. The last time Honda made a Civic Hybrid, it made a lackluster 110 horsepower and 127 pound-feet of torque. It was a good commuter car, but something car enthusiasts would not pay any attention to because they'd be looking at other things. This time, the hybrid trim is definitely something worth paying attention to because in terms of horsepower and torque, this is now the second most powerful Civic in the lineup, right behind the Honda Civic Type R, and it's closely matched to the Honda Civic Si. This new Civic Hybrid is powered by a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and it has 2 electric motor hybrid system. So altogether, it makes 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. This is now the Gen 4 2-motor system that we first saw in the 2014 Honda Accord Hybrid. And this one returns a very good hybrid mileage of 50 miles per gallon in the city, 45 on the highway, and 48 miles per gallon combined. So this is now more powerful than the last Civic Hybrid, and it's even more efficient. One of the things you can't get in this Civic Hybrid is a manual transmission. So there's still a case to get the Civic Si or the Civic Type R. This only comes in a continuously variable transmission. But even that term doesn't really make sense because this 2-motor hybrid system means that you don't actually have a transmission. This car basically operates like an EV. So one of those motors in the 2-motor system is attached to the front axle and it powers the car all the time. And the engine, well, the engine basically acts like a generator and it provides juice to the battery or it provides juice to the other electric motor that powers the front wheels. But that only works between 0 to about 45 miles per hour, so in slower speed situations. And this is where the 2-motor system is completely different than any other hybrid that we've seen, because after 45 miles per hour, there's a clutch that locks up the engine to the front wheels, so the engine drives the car. But most importantly, how does this car drive? Well, it drives a lot like an EV. You get all of your peak torque from a standstill, from 0, and that moment where it transitions from pure EV operation to both electric motor and internal combustion engine operation, that moment is very imperceptible. You can't really tell that a clutch has engaged. There is no shift shock. There is nothing. It feels very, very smooth. And this 2-motor setup is not new. We've seen it before in the 2014 Honda Accord. We've seen it in the 2025 Honda CR-V, and now it's in this Honda Civic Hybrid that comes in both sedan and hatchback flavors. And the way this thing drives, it is much more lively than the last time a Civic Hybrid was available for sale. This new car also sits on a much improved 11th gen platform. The chassis is more rigid, the suspension just feels a little bit tighter, steering feels much more direct, and the ride quality isn't bad at all. The car in general is a whole lot of fun to drive, and it's actually quicker than the Honda Civic Si from 0 to 60. It's still somewhere between 6 to 7 seconds. However, it is a little bit heavier than the Honda Civic Si because of the extra hardware, the 2 electric motors, and also the battery. And this one doesn't come with a manual transmission. And if you're shopping across other cars, also be aware that there's no all-wheel drive option for the Honda Civic Hybrid. But I've had a lot of fun driving this one because it feels powerful, it's nimble, it feels lightweight, and it's just a lot of fun to drive around back roads. The car still pales in comparison to the Civic Type R, which is the undisputed front-wheel drive king. But the Civic Type R will never hit 50 miles per gallon in its life unless you're going downhill. Visually, all 2025 Civics get a small facelift. There's a new front fascia design with a larger opening. It makes these Civics look more like the Honda Civic Type R. Compared to the non-hybrids, the Civic hybrids get even more sporty looking in my opinion because it gets the body-colored front spoiler and then also body-colored trim around the headlights. The Civic Hybrid will come in both sedan and hatchback configurations, where the hatchback is $1,200 extra. This one is the hatchback setup, as you could tell, with the integrated rear window and the trunk lid. and it can be yours for about $31,300 before taxes. Inside, the base hybrid trim looks pretty basic. If you want more features, the Sport Touring Hybrid packs a lot more in for an extra $3,000. The seats are cloth, but they are heated, and then you get the smaller 7-inch touchscreen, which works just fine, and it comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, though it's not the wireless version. Sound comes out of the 8-speaker audio system. It's not even branded, and I think it sounds just okay. The Sport Touring version would come with a 9-inch screen with Google built-in features and has a wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and also a wireless charger. And that comes with a 12-speaker Bose sound system. Now, as for the steering wheel, I love the amount of physical controls on this thing. There's also some paddle shifters, which controls the amount of regen braking, and there are 4 levels. The drive mode switch is in the center console, and that controls the throttle response, the amount of power steering, engine sound, and sometimes how energy conscious your air conditioning can be. As for the second row, there's not a lot of amenities back here. There is 37.4 inches of rear legroom. There's no venting, there's no extra USB-C ports. I'm 5'8", and there's okay amount of room back here for me, but then again, I fit in most cars anyway. There's 37.1 inches of rear headroom. And then if you get the hatch, there's 24.5 cubic feet of space behind the second row. And unfortunately, there is no spare tire back here. There are 2 downsides to this Honda Civic Hybrid, and the first one is the efficiency. And just like how EVs don't operate as efficiently in the winter time, they don't reach those ranges that they advertise. Since this operates a lot like an EV, I'm not getting those 50 mile per gallon advertised efficiencies. Instead, I've been getting somewhere around 30 miles per gallon. And I'm testing this in the middle of February, as you can tell around me. But I'm pretty confident that when it's in the summertime and the weather is nice, it's all clear, that you will actually get those 50 mile per gallon advertised figures, because we have seen it in other Honda hybrids. The second one, and I've already mentioned this doesn't come with an all-wheel drive option. So if you need it, you have to look elsewhere. But overall, this has been a really impressive car for about $30,000. If you are shopping around for hybrids, then the Toyota Corolla Hybrid is another great option, because the mileage is even higher than what Honda claims here. And they also come with an all-wheel drive option. But this Honda Civic Hybrid is a lot more fun to drive compared to that Toyota Corolla. This should really be compared to the Toyota Prius, which is a little bit more expensive than the Corolla Hybrid. That one also gets great gas mileage, and it has a more powerful powertrain. If you want to check out the new Prius, click on the link over here. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching all the way up to this point. My name is Hanson, and that has been the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid, and I'll see you in the next one.